Good morning.
Good morning. Hi, my name is Michelle Zellers. As a person with a visual impairment, I'm a trimet user. I'm transit dependent, and being transit dependent affects my daily travel time, my job prospects, and where I'm able to live. I'm part of Opal and Bus Riders Unite because I want to make sure that our transit system is shaped by those who actually use and rely on transit. This month, myself and other Bus Riders Unite members spent hours on the bus having conversations about the TriMet administration's plans for e-fare. Some fellow passengers immediately said, yes, the equity concerns that Opal is raising will directly impact me or will impact someone I know. Regardless of whether they would be personally affected, bus riders I spoke with were all concerned about the underlying issue of transit democracy and the need for every aspect of Portland's transit system to be shaped by riders. Lack of multi-user cards for families was a concern that resonated with folks. All of us who ride the bus daily have seen just how much a parent, usually a mother, who is boarding the bus has to navigate. Folding up strollers, holding children's hands, finding seats for children, managing diaper bags and grocery bags. Why introduce additional burdens by making caretakers pay for, keep track of, and swipe separate cards for every family member every time they board the bus? An e-fare system that doesn't work for mothers and parents of all genders is an e-fare system that doesn't work. My fellow passengers agreed that walking over a half mile in some cases to refill an e-fare card is not reasonable. If you're a high-income or middle-income person, chances are this is no problem because you'll probably have access to uninterrupted internet service plus enough money to put $50 or $100 on your card every time you fill up. But if you're a person with medical debt and housing debt, living paycheck to paycheck, buying only enough groceries to feed yourself today, chances are you buy your bus fares one at a time, and that could mean frequent half-mile walks to an e-fare vendor just to run simple errands or get to your job. Again, if the e-fare plans don't work for low-income people, then the plans don't work. Finally, in communities traumatized by racist policing such as ours, it's important to have clear policies about what information on e-fare users is shared and to whom. Passengers I spoke with agreed that for communities of color, the bus should not be one more place where folks are expecting to be unfairly profiled and targeted. The bus should instead support the livelihood of every transit-dependent person in our area. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to hearing about how you, as board members, will take steps to ensure that any new system is family-friendly, inclusive of low-income people, and safe for communities of color.
Thank you, Michelle.
My name is Ron.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is David Bouchard, and I live near Portland State University, where I'm finishing my bachelor's degree. I am passionate about mass transit and use many bus and MAX lines on a daily basis to visit friends, go to meetings, and attend classes. The design and implementation of e-fare is an exciting transit development for this region, and it has great potential. However, like any major capital project, nothing is perfect. Of particular concern to Opal is the lack of low-income and group fares for FastPass. These options are very important for many of us who rely on the transit system to get anywhere. Transit agencies around the country are already providing low-income fares, such as Seattle, San Francisco, Denver, Chicago, Cincinnati, and Kansas City. Salt Lake City's Utah Transit Authority also provides group fares that are used by families. Many of these cities also have e-fare. These fare options would help many of us afford to get around without the stress of wondering whether or not we can afford our next bus. It would be a huge help to parents or other large groups traveling together to pay for everyone's trip with just one tap of the card, rather than 4 or 5 or 6 or even 8 people fishing out their cards. It could also help buses stay on schedule by reducing the dwell time caused by large groups tapping multiple cards. Low income and group fares are a win-win for everyone, and we urge you to provide these valuable options to your riders. Thank you for your time.
No, thank you, David. Good comment.
Morning. How you all doing?
All right.
So I was actually originally going to read my testimony, but instead I would like to take the time to read the testimony of 2 individuals who couldn't make it today because this time doesn't work for them. I would encourage you to try to consider having meetings in later times where working folks can have access to these meetings and provide their own testimony firsthand. So I'll start with Suemi. My name is Swami Tus and I live in Northeast Portland. I use the number 4, 15, 72, and max to get to doctor appointments for my kids, to go to school, to pay bills, and to run errands. My husband is the only one that drives, and we only have enough to maintain just one car. He uses his car to go to work, therefore my kids and I depend on TriMet services. One of my concerns is that the closest store takes 18 minutes walking by myself, but it would take much longer if I were to walk there with my kids. This would cause me to miss my preferred bus times. It will take much longer to do the activities that I have planned for that day. I cannot imagine how the elderly or people with disabilities would have to manage to have access to these services in the area where I live. TriMet should consider some of the local stores that are close to where we live, including Mexican stores, where they can explain how they use services and how we can register our cars anonymously. TriMet needs to do more outreach. I only learned about the upcoming changes through a meeting with Latino Network, but they didn't have enough information. I know of many families who depend on the transit services, but are unaware of the coming changes. I would like for TriMet to consider a family card. Carrying multiple cards and keeping track of the funds in all of them would be difficult. It would be much easier if we only had to carry one card and keep track of the funds in that way. One last thing that I would like TriMet to consider is to implement a low-income fare. Hello, and thank you for the opportunity to present my testimony. My name is Lucia Llanos Pinos, and I live in Southeast Portland. I use the lines number 9, 15, 72, 75, and the max. I use the transit system to go to church, shopping, doctor visits, to pay bills, to go to school, and also run errands. I don't have a car, and I don't know how to drive, therefore I must rely on public transportation. My husband is the only one who has a car and can drive, but he cannot help us when he has to work. One of the concerns that I have with the new system is that although people can register the cards anonymously, many folks will not have this option or know of this option and provide their personal information. How do we know that you will not share this information with other agencies such as ICE? Does TriMet have the policies that will prevent them from sharing this information? Another concern is that the retail network is very limited. The closest place to where I live is almost 11 blocks, which would be difficult when I walk with my youngest child. The closest store where I live is a Plaid Pantry, which is only 4 blocks away. I would also like for TriMet to implement a low-income fare. Everywhere we go, the rent is too high, and we shouldn't worry if we have enough money to catch the next bus. Please take these thoughts into consideration.
Thank you, Orlando. And I will